Hello and welcome to the best of GCS Today here on Channel 21. I'm Todd Hakens. This summer, we are looking back at a few of our favorite GCS Today interviews from the 2017-2018 school year. This episode features Superintendent Booker talking about the accreditation process that took place in February. It also includes our interviews with outstanding school mentor Sereptha Cunningham and star teachers Megan Trimnal and Amanda Parker. Up first is our interview with Superintendent Booker. Joining me on GCS Today is Superintendent of Schools, W. Jeffrey Booker. Mr. Booker, welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Thanks, Todd. It's great to be with you.
We are talking about the accreditation process for Gaston County Schools. So let's begin with you telling us what is accreditation and what does it involve?
Well, accreditation is very important to us. If you go back years, it used to be known as SACS, the Southern Accreditation Council, and it's now a national organization, and they put together a team, and the team will be made up of people from all over the country that come, and they do a pretty robust review of all of our practices, the means and methods that we're using, and just do an overall evaluation of how Gaston County Schools operates.
And so people that have been in Gaston County Schools for a while, they will know it as SACS. It's now changed the name to Advanced Ed. So the Advanced Ed team has been with us to review, really review all areas of the school system.
And that they did. They brought in 10 people, and big group, and one of the individuals actually went to our technology center and talked with our engineers, talked about our internet security and just how we operated, how we provided internet access to all of our schools. He visited our virtual school and met with students to talk about how the virtual school operated, all the way to 3 of our high schools were visited by different teams and looked at what they were doing.
And so that was a 4-day process where you had the review team here. They spent time here at the central office with central leadership, with you as well, and also they were out in our schools talking with students and principals and teachers.
They also did several focus groups where we had community leaders came in and were interviewed at a group of 10, as well as parent leaders. They met with over 30 of our administrators out of the schools were brought in to groups to talk and ask questions and see how it was. And that's one of the great feedbacks we got from them, was the overall collegial feel that they had from our administrators, that it was a team effort working in tandem to get better as a district.
And the review, the accreditation happens every 5 years. And so when you heard from the team that they were recommending accreditation for Gaston County Schools for the next 5 years, how did that make you feel?
It was a great validation, and it worked and reflected on the work that's been going on, because accreditation, while it's every 5 years, it has a midterm review where you update on any questions that they had, and then you also start prepping for the next year. And we had been working very diligently, and all of our schools had presented their school quality factors, which is a very impressive document when you start looking at what our schools do on a day-to-day basis. And so I wasn't surprised when he opened it up with saying, this has been an excellent review, prepared well, thorough, and the overall hospitality we felt in your community was to be commended.
That is a very good feeling to hear that news from the review team. Now, they mentioned several items that they were very impressed with in Gaston County Schools. During their school visits, they talked about our classrooms and the management of our classrooms.
They spoke to the caring culture that they felt in our classrooms, that children were open to express themselves, that they were well-managed classrooms, which is a great testament to our teaching professionals out there. And they felt like the schools were engaging in learning with the children.
Now, we've done a lot of work over the past 3 to 4 years in the area of career and technical education, and they had a lot of good things to say about that.
They were significantly impressed. The first thing they started with was the model of the business partnership and how we'd had the Blue Ribbon Committee come in and talk about it, how we worked through those initiatives, and then the overall growth. For us to be the 10th largest district but have the 4th largest number of career and technical certifications earned, they respected that and they saw how it was. And then what was really impressive was when they visited the high schools, this wasn't just something on paper. They saw it. When they visited the middle schools, they saw how the career and technical education program had been expanded. And they've really complimented us on that and encouraged us to continue that work. And it was a nervous point because one of the 10 folks was from Florida, one of the largest districts in Florida, and he was in charge of career and technical education for that 150,000 student district. So he knew what to look for, and he was very complimentary of what was going on.
And one of the things that you highlighted to the review team was about our partnership with the Gaston Chamber, with the Greater Gaston Development Corporation on initiatives such as Educators in the Workplace and Students at Work and the Manufacturing Expo. A number of our programs that we've put into place, they were impressed to see those programs.
They were, and we were able to, because we've done a good job of capturing that. We showed them a video that Dr. Ann Hoscheit, when she was president of the chamber, had done talking about how important she thought Educators in the Workplace was, and gave some of the interviews that our educators presented as that. And then we did another one on our apprenticeship committee, apprenticeship program, where American Eford, and they visited and highlighted 2 of our students. So it gave them that data to add into their report, and they were impressed with the overall spirit of that. And they talked about that as being community engagement and how we're being open and collaborative with our community. That's one of the points that they brought up, that they felt like the school system was working with the community to be what the community wanted the school system to be.
And it's important for the review team, I think, for them, they see it on paper, and you said this, they see it on paper, but when they go into the schools, they want to see it happening. And with the career and technical education, that is one area where it's happening when it comes to career and technical education. Okay, they talked a little bit about what we do to invest in people, our employees, and what we do to invest in resources.
We walked through all the professional development they had going on. Our teachers will know about the mini conference concept that we've brought up, that first day back in the fall when we're coming back to start school, that we have an all-day training by grade, elementary, middle, and high. They were very impressed with the structure of that and the resourcing, and that we then released the teachers to go back to their classrooms, and that through the year we weren't pulling teachers out. It was more as we were bringing folks in to facilitate and work with them, because we know the most important resource we have in our system is our teaching professionals, and to invest in them. And it was obvious in their review, and then in their visit they saw lab sites that we talked about inside of our schools. They saw the evidence that we've been doing in our high schools with Dr. November and the P50 group. So, and I could go on with mentioning other ones, but that's what we talked about. We're trying to grow the people we have working with our students every day, and they went out and looked for that.
Another area where we have taken some big steps forward is the area of school choice. And they mentioned school choice in their response to us, and the lead evaluator said this about the school choice: it gives students an opportunity to find what they like, and it will help them thrive. I know school choice is very important to you, and we're still working on offering even more. But how did it feel to you for them to validate we are moving in the right direction with school choice?
We believe our community has asked for choices, and we'll continue to expand it. And to have an outsider come in and see that it was working and feel that positive was a real blessing to receive that compliment.
And then they identified what they called powerful practices. And I think they have to identify at least one, but they had 2 for us. And they described them as highly commendable. One was the culture of engagement and the shared decision-making in the district.
Yes, when they looked at the community talks that were done 4 years ago, they were impressed by the community talks, but what they wanted to ask was, well, what have you done with that? And when they saw that we had been out in the community again to talk about what we were doing, getting feedback on what we were doing, and I think that came through in their parent interviews and with the business leader interviews, that we're not just sitting back. That's what we started this journey 4 years ago to say we want to hear from the community and respond and be the community's resource. And that was a great recognition there.
The second powerful practice they mentioned is the leadership of the district and leadership working collaboratively and always focusing on students.
And that's where I touched on earlier. They were very impressed with the two different principal groups that they interviewed about how they saw them interacting and that they knew one another and that they could tell the conversations weren't just in that room that was going on. And they looked at our principal meetings where we have monthly agendas and they talked about what we were doing to grow as a district and grow our leadership. And they saw that it wasn't a top-down, we're going to do this, but how we collaboratively get input and look at it. And I think that was really shaped when you look at what we've proposed for 1920 with the additional choices and how we're working with those schools to allow them to help us develop what we're going to offer to the community. That was a big part of showing how we've been working together. It's not just do it this way.
And so knowing that the review team is recommending us for accreditation for the next 5 years, it took a lot of work really from almost everybody in Gaston County Schools. What do you want to say to the people associated with Gaston County Schools who had a role in that review?
Well, what I appreciate was the sincere effort that was put forth. When you look at those school quality factors and the level of detail that people produced to show that, and the work actually going on. And they visited classrooms. Remember, Mr. Higgins, they came here and they told us 2 schools they were going to go to, and then they went to 12 other schools that were unannounced. They just went to those schools. So all 54 schools were ready. That meant everyone was prepared. And I actually got a call or two from some principals that said, my staff was disappointed that they didn't come to us. We were ready to knock the lights out for them. And I think that speaks to the culture of the district, that we're doing well by kids, and what we want for our students is to have all children being lifelong learners, and that they wanted to show that evidence, and they were disappointed when they didn't get to. So I just appreciate the effort that was done all the way through. Even one of the evaluators highlighted the conversation that she had had with a custodian at one of the high schools and talked about that person knew what that school was about. The lead evaluator highlighted watching one of the support staff interacting with the child and saying, I knew that wasn't their job, but the care they showed for that child, he was just very impressed. And that's where that culture thing came about. So very commendable for what our 4,000 employees are doing.
It's great to hear that review team say you are a quality school system, and I know you take great pride in hearing that.
Yes, and I appreciate, we've gotten a number of emails. When we sent out the recognition to all of our staff, I've gotten a number of emails back saying this is great, and it is. And it is, the greatness lies in each one of them and what they're doing every day.
We're proud of Gaston County Schools and glad to have that positive review by Advanced Ed and to know that we've got that accreditation as a quality school system for another 5 years. It's great to have that.
Thanks, Tom.
Superintendent Jeff Booker is with us on GCS Today. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate all the great leadership that you're providing for Gaston County Schools.
Thanks.
Coming up next on the Best of GCS Today is school mentor Sereptha Cunningham. And later, we have our interview with star teachers Megan Trimnal and Amanda Parker.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible.
And then we're going to turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Finally won.
What's your reaction?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
Little tadpoles, the frogs. Everybody said, this is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Joining me on GCS today is Sereptha Cunningham. She is from Man Hummel, and we all know it as Wicks Filters in this community. She is a mentor in Gaston County Schools, having served at Robinson, Hawks Nest, and now at Lingerfelt Elementary School. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about mentoring. First question, why are you a mentor?
First of all, I'm just grateful that my job allow any of the employees the opportunity to help encourage a young person. And when the email went out over 7 years ago, I went to the meeting and I was immediately just caught and captivated to be able to help another young person in their life along the way. So I've been involved with it ever since and loving it.
So 7 years, that's a big commitment that you've made to our schools.
Yes. And the first 4 years I was with a little girl, and she went on to middle school, and I kind of felt the weaning where, you know, some of them you stay with throughout. I've heard stories where they stayed throughout their entire school life cycle. But I could tell she was getting a little older, and she kind of matured a whole lot. And so I just looked on to taking another child. This time I wanted a boy. So now I've been with him for, this is my 3rd year.
Why is mentoring important to you? Why do you give the time to be a part of a child's life?
I wish the opportunity had been there, or I didn't know anything about it when I was a little girl, because I was raised in a single parent home, and I wished I'd had that extra encouragement to help motivate me in life to maybe not make some of the mistakes I made. So some of the children have different issues, different problems going on maybe at home, and just being that positive voice in their life. And that's what I love about it. That's just what I enjoy. And
I know that you see yourself as a guide and as a friend and as a role model for children. Why is that important?
That's important because it helps them to see a positiveness or something. You know, you don't know what's going on at home, and they need to see something that's encouraging and positive. If they see a consistency, that helps to change their way of thinking when they see that consistency. That's why I feel it's important.
What do you think your mentee, if we had your mentee here with us, what do you think he would say about you?
He would say that he loved me because when he sees me coming, sometimes he hugs me so much. He's a loving little fella, and he just hugs on you and loves on you. But he does that with a lot of people. So I think he would say he was glad to see me, and he would be just as happy as he could be, because that's how he is when we come together.
Now, in the mentoring program, you've been involved 7 years with us, and you've been at 3 schools, 2 children. How do you know that you're making a difference?
I know when they're asking for me, if something comes up and then I'm not, if a week there's something that I have to change a day, or if I don't go, I can just tell that I'm making a difference. Actually, some of the parents have been involved to even say that, you know, they know that the mentor, that I have made a difference in their life. The young lady, the little girl that I mentored with, she was really shy. And I could tell she was coming out of her shell over the time, and she began to interact with the other students, and her grades went up because she began to read. They couldn't get her to read in the reading programs, to do the reading programs that they offer. She started doing all that. So just seeing that, and seeing a child bloom into what they said they may have had issues with, and coming out of those issues, it just brings more joy to me than I think maybe I might be helping them with. I'm not really sure.
And so I guess that motivation and being that positive influence, I think you see yourself in that role, and you see yourself motivating the children to come out of their shell and to gain some confidence. Has that been your experience?
Oh yes, oh yes. even with the little boy, he always would experience what he couldn't do and can't do. And some of the words I've always saying, I can do it, I can do it. And I would say, now what does Miss Cunningham tell you when he says he can't do, because that would be a lot of his vocabulary. And he said, I can do it. And he would just change, it would just change his whole thinking, especially when he was around me. He knew he could do it. So those words have been an impact into his mind. So when I see him for the first time this year, I'm going to say, what are our words for this year? And he said, I can do it. He will know that. So just implanting those certain seeds when you're dealing with a child on the level of whatever their, shortcomings are.
Right. And whatever the challenges they may be
Exactly.
facing. They may have challenges at school and they may have challenges at home, and it's just good for that child to know that there's someone there listening, someone caring and being there for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if there are people watching and they're thinking about, I don't know about that mentoring program, that might be something I'd like to do. What would you say to someone who is thinking about becoming a mentor?
I would tell them to give it a try. It's worth a try. I've even one other mentor that I encouraged. He's no longer at Man and Humo. I encouraged him to get on the mentorship. His first experience, he couldn't connect with the little fellow, and I still kept encouraging him. And they gave him another fellow, and the thing about it, I kept encouraging him to do it because he still didn't know what kind of impact he was making on that young man's life. Regardless of him not wanting to connect with him, he was still showing him that he was coming. Regardless, I'm coming. And then the next little boy, he just clung on him. So, still even in that, with the bad experience at first, I still kept talking to him to keep him up, to keep him encouraged to mentor. Just knowing that you can help change a little person's life, from whether you're in their life for 3 years, 4 years, 1 year, for the rest of their life with a positive change. I would encourage you to give it a try. I would encourage a person to give it a try.
Do you feel like you are making a difference in a child's life?
Oh, yes. I know I am. Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
And why is that so important to you?
From the beginning when I said I wish mentoring was around when I was in elementary school, just for when you see the different impacts that it's made, because even with the first young lady that I mentored, little girl that I mentored, she's now in 8th grade, she still keeps in contact, her mother still keeps in contact. So just knowing that you've made that difference, that is in a lasting effect, and you still hear about it later, it just, I don't know, it's just the joy of knowing that you've made an impact and you see it. The evidence, the proof is in the pudding. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
There are a number of mentors that we have from Wicks, from Man Hummel, that participate in our mentoring program, as well as a lot of other businesses and community members that are part of this program. So your words to them, anyone thinking about it, is to go out there and do it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Sereptha, Cunningham, we appreciate all that you do for our schools through our mentoring program, and we appreciate you being with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you for having me.
You are watching the best of GCS Today here on Channel 21. We will be right back.
I started mentoring my mentee, Dantre, 4 years ago. I always thought about doing it. It always seemed like a good idea.
We were both nervous when we first met, but everything kind of fell into place.
Mentoring is important to anyone that's pretty fortunate in life to have a little bit of time to pass on that knowledge.
Etienne's a very close friend. I look at him as a brother and a father figure. He taught me just focus on the big picture, because I would like to give back just like Etienne gave back to me. Be someone who matters to someone who matters.
Joining me on GCS Today, we have two teachers from South Point High School, Amanda Parker and Megan Trimnal, and we have a great story that we're going to share with you today. And so let me set the story up for you. We have a Star Teacher, Star Student Awards program, and it's where you have an outstanding senior who recognizes the teacher who has had the most influence on that student's life. and you may have seen that awards program. We recorded that ceremony and aired it on Channel 21. You may have seen it. So this year, for the class of 2018, Natalie Paragori, who is a senior at Bessemer City High School, nominated Megan, who previously taught at Bessemer City and is now at South Point, for the Star Teacher Award. What is interesting about that is Megan was the star student in 2004 for North Gaston High School, and she nominated Amanda Parker as her star teacher. So I hope our audience can follow all of that. It's a neat story to show how we have a star student who is now a star teacher. And Megan, what did it mean to you when you found out that Natalie had nominated you as the star teacher for Bessemer City High School?
As a teacher now, you have students that mean a lot to you, and you know that you're going to remember these students, and you know that they had an impact in your classroom on you as a teacher. But you don't often know if you have an impact on them. You hope you do. And so when she nominated me, it was just kind of a reciprocal feeling that I was able to impact her, as much as she impacted me, just being there in my classroom.
Now, do you remember back to that time when you were the star student for North Gaston High School and you had the opportunity to select your star teacher? What do you remember about that? And was that an easy choice for you? Did you know automatically, or did you have to contemplate who you wanted to select?
It was a very easy choice.
You better say
yeah,
easy choice, right?
It was a very easy choice. I spent a lot of time with Miss Parker at North Gaston with student council and in all of her classes, year-long classes. And it was not even a breath needed to be taken to say that she had the impact on me. So when I talked to Natalie about choosing me, I was shocked. I was shocked that she said there was no thought. It wasn't close between you and another teacher. I automatically said I want it to be Miss Trimnal. So that really meant a lot to me, that she just had me at the forefront of her thoughts and wanted to honor me in that way.
Now, you teach biology. Now, so I would not necessarily being an English person, I wouldn't think biology was a very easy subject. What do you think that you do in your classroom that makes students like Natalie see you as a star teacher?
I care a lot about my students, and I just want them to know that all year long, from the first time they're in my room until when they leave. I care about them in my classroom and outside of my classroom, and I try to support them in every way as a student and in their life. Like you said, this award is a teacher that affected their life, not just their school, not just 8 to 3. And I really feel like she felt that I was a part of her life. We did some extracurricular activities together too with Leadership Academy, so we were able to do some physical labor in the gardens and things like that at Bessemer City. I wanted my students to know, and I do want my students to know, that I care about them outside of my classroom as well. So I think that bled over into following years with her.
And you hear that. We recognize a star teacher and a star student from every high school in the county. And you hear that as a theme when the teachers speak and the students talk about their teachers, that it really is that teacher that went above and beyond. Do you feel like that you do that? Is that something you strive for?
Absolutely.
In school every day?
Yeah, yes, absolutely, every day. I think there's a bit of a trust factor to it. If they know that I care for them and I want their best, then they'll do whatever I ask them to do in the classroom, no matter how hard it is. Because they know that I want them to do their best, and I don't want them to just put their name on a paper or pass a test. But I want them to be the best that they can be for all of their classes. And if I can gain that trust of a student, then it's endless what they can do with that respect that they have.
Now, Amanda, in 2004, you were teaching. You now teach career and technical education at South Point, but in 2004, you were at North Gaston.
I was.
And you had Megan come to you and say, I want you to be my star teacher. What do you remember about that moment?
Oh, it was monumental. It meant so much to me, kind of like the same feelings. I know what she was feeling when Natalie nominated her. It is incredible to think a student is able to go and pick a teacher back to kindergarten and they choose you, it totally means the world, and it meant the world to me that she chose me. And they get to speak about you, and the words that she spoke were just incredible, and it meant the world to me. Megan meant a lot to me back then, definitely.
Now, I know that they require you to write an essay, and so she wrote an essay about you. Do you still have it, or do you remember it?
I still have it. I have it framed. It's actually in my classroom along with my award, and so when I found out that Megan was coming to teach at South Point, that was the first thing that I showed her, and I read it to her, and I started crying. I said, I want you to know how much that meant to me then, and still means to me now. I mean, it's very moving and touching that a student would go out of their way to nominate you and let you know how much they mean to you, and that she means that much to me then and now. We've kept up with each other through the years. So.
Now, Megan, when you were selecting that star teacher, why did you select Miss Parker for that award?
For the exact same reasons that I think Natalie did. Miss Parker cared about me and my future. She wanted me to succeed. She taught me things beyond nutrition. She taught me leadership skills that I would use forever. Natalie even said, you know, in her essay to me that I took her under my wing, and that's exactly the words that I would have said. That Miss Parker just, you know, she took me in. She taught me, you know, how to be a leader, how to be organized, which I still struggle with, but she's fantastic at it. You know, I always wanted to be her, which is odd. I did not plan on being a teacher when I first went to college, but you know, in the back of my mind, I would always think, I would want to be Miss Parker. I would want to be like her. Now I'm a teacher. I'm like, okay, now I know no one can be like her because she's so awesome. So I'm okay with that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a question I wanted to ask. Did you influence her into becoming a teacher, to going into the education profession?
Well, with Megan having been number one in her class, I always thought she is going to strive high, and I'm going to read about her one day. She's going to be a doctor. She's going to be a lawyer. And so I always kept up with Megan on social media. So when I saw that she was at Wake Forest and in her doctorate program, and then not too long after that saw that she was coming into education, I thought, well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised with Megan. She's a very family-oriented person, and our education system needs great people, and I'm not surprised. I started seeing her at convocation, and I asked her why she chose that education, and she says, I love my family, I love what I do, I love to educate people, and we kind of just started communicating back that way, and I started hearing that she was a great teacher, moving up in her field, in middle school, then in high school, and not surprised at all. Not surprised, and I know she's a great teacher. We are so lucky to have her at South Point. And again, when she came this past year, I was so excited to see that she's there. And I hope that I have had an impact on her. I know that she doesn't claim that she's organized, but she is a very organized person, yes. Not that that's what it takes to be a great teacher. I do remember that she gave me this little plaque in high school, and I also still have it on my desk, and it says, it's okay to leave some things undone, because she knows how organized I am, and it's a sickness sometimes.
Yes. And I mean, I did not go to college initially to be a teacher, but when I decided to become a teacher, she definitely affected the way that I teach and the kind of person that I am when I teach and when I build relationships with students and how I teach them. So she has an impact on, you know, how I teach every day.
And this question for the both of you, do you feel like you are a star teacher?
I mean, I don't.
Who wants to answer first?
No, I would never say that I'm a star teacher.
I would never label myself a star teacher. I mean, I would hope that I am. You want to hope that you are. You know, you want to hope that you're a star teacher. I hope that all teachers are star teachers. We should be. We should hold ourselves to that level. You know, we should hold ourselves to that level. I want to be a star teacher. I've been a star teacher one time.
Thanks to Megan.
Yeah.
I think it is important to have a program like this.
Oh, yes, definitely.
It is a program that I believe at the time that you were involved with the program, Time Warner Cable sponsored the program.
Yes.
Now with the Gaston Gazette partners with us to sponsor the program, because it does give students an opportunity to recognize, to celebrate, and to really say thank you to that teacher, because sometimes it might be difficult for a teacher to realize, am I doing this right? Am I making a connection? Am I having an influence? And then when you have that star teacher, the star students to step up and say, wow, you really helped me and I appreciate it. I imagine that goes a long way.
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that, because as a star student, you know, we're coming into adulthood and we're awkward, and it's really hard to tell a teacher just in conversation how much they mean to you and to really have it be meaningful. But Gaston County gives the opportunity for a student to, you know, extravagantly tell you how much you mean to them. So I think it's so great that we have this program, and it gives students the words to say and a platform to say it when that might be an awkward conversation for a teenager to have with their teacher.
Right.
Well, we certainly appreciate everything you do for students. And now at South Point High School, the both of you working with our students there, we appreciate it. And whether in 2004 or in 2018, it's once a star teacher, always a star teacher. So thank you for everything you do. It's such a great story to see our star teacher, star student program come full circle, I guess you could say. And so congratulations to you on that honor. And we appreciate everything you do, and we appreciate you being with us today here on GCS Today.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the best of GCS Today here on Channel 21. Stay tuned for the latest school news and happenings, and be looking for new episodes of GCS Today in August. I'm Todd Hagans. We look forward to seeing you next time.